afternoon, everyone. And I'd like to brag a little bit about FAMU Federal Credit Union because we are associated with the Rattlers, who are going to be in a championship football game this weekend. I mean, on the 16th. So I'm right ahead to put that little shout out to them. But kudos to all of you for being on this session today. And kudos to AACUC and Renee Satterwhite, President, CEO of this awesome organization. I want to thank her for pulling together this great panel of leaders. And as I facilitate, I am honored to be with some of the great and impactful thought leaders of the credit union movement. They are part of this group called the Credit Union Women Leadership Alliance. And we're so happy for you to find out just what they're all about. We have on the panel today Miss Lynette Smith. We also have Delaney Hewling. But it's my pleasure to introduce the third panelist, Miss Linda White. She is the co-founder and the executive director of CUWLA. Miss White.
Thank you, Sheila. So as Sheila mentioned, I am the executive director of the Credit Union Women's Leadership Alliance after retiring from Upward Credit Union in Burlingame, California, where I was at for 37 years. I'm going to say I'm a lifelong baby credit union person. And with that, I'll just leave it short there so we can have other introductions. Lynette? You're on mute.
Yes. Good afternoon. I am Lynette Smith, the currently retired CEO from True Energy Federal Credit Union, and I am the Chief Engagement Officer at Quantum Governance. I have over 30 years of experience in the C-suite. As a matter of fact, I was hired at the C-suite level. So I've been in the CFO, the COO, all the C-suites positions I've held pretty much for over 30 years. So we're excited to be here today to share the information about CUWLA.
Elena.
Hi, good afternoon. Delaney Hewling, President and CEO at Baylor Healthcare System Credit Union in Dallas, Texas. I have been in the credit union industry for over 20 years. I'm proud to say that I am one of the newest board members to serve the amazing, awesome organization for AACUC. And I am also a proud member that is new, but very excited to have this discussion about the Credit Union Women Leadership Alliance and all of the work that they have done.
Awesome. I'm really excited about this panel as well. But Linda, who is CUWLA?
Well, that's the $64,000 question. So the Credit Union Women's Leadership Alliance is an organization we're officially founded in 2020. That's our organization date for female CEOs of credit unions under 300 million in assets. And I will say nationwide, we have over 2,000 plus eligible members. And of that, we have about 225 members currently. So growing, yes.
Excellent. And I'm going to ask Miss Lynette Smith to tell us, why do you think CUWLA exists?
Well, CUWLA exists because we felt that there was a great need to be the voice in the industry, particularly women who don't really have an opportunity. I've belonged to numerous organizations. I've been on the board of AACUC. I'm one of the co-founders of CUWLA. And we felt that there needed to be a safe space for women CEOs running credit unions under 300 million in assets. And that's why we exist. We needed to be a safe space.
Awesome. And Linda, I think both Delaney and Lynette kind of gave a glimpse of CUWLA, but tell us a little bit about the networking and programming.
So we have a lot of programs. It's like, I'll tip off that over time, so we started like the 13 of us that came together in 2019 and then decided, should it be females only, should it be male and female? we landed on, as Lynette said, for members of credit unions under 300 million assets and women only. And we thought quickly, what can we do to make sure we're engaging our people on an ongoing basis since we're all over the country? So some of the things that we've put together is we have a monthly meet and greet, which started out in the beginning. And even though we now have a discussion board, we continue to have those monthly meet and greets. And that is one of the opportunities our members have to talk about anything and everything that's going on in their mind. From where was this? Some of the comments that we get from our members is, where was this 20 years ago when I became a CEO? We also have quarterly power hours. We just added a focused discussion, and we have our annual conference. But I'm going to have Delana talk about some of that from a member's perspective, who's newer to the organization and her experience.
Awesome. Take it away, Delana.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I would be remiss, though, if I didn't share with how my journey started of even understanding who CUWLA was or how I was introduced. Upon finding AACUC, I met some of the great leaders, and Renee as well as Lynette were talking about this organization that, as a new CEO and as a female CEO with a credit union under 300 million in assets, that I really needed to find my people. Find your place and find your people, and you'll really be positioned and better positioned for this role. So after meeting Renee and obviously serving at AACUC, I had the opportunity to sit down with Lynette. And I was talking about, just as a seasoned CEO, although she's retired, where do I go? Where do I find my people just in this network? And how can I better even serve and prepare myself? And so she mentioned CUWLA. I went to one of their meet and greets, as Linda just said, and I immediately went back and I was like, oh my gosh, is this real? Is there a group of women who are in a safe space and a soft place to land and have engaging conversations? And, you know, what do I do? How do I join? But then I called Renee and I said, but Renee, there was no one on the call that looked like me. So I want to understand why the women of color are not participating in this group. And Renee said, move forward and join and you'll figure it out and you can help them figure it out. So then I reached out to Lynette and I said, okay, I'm on board. What do I need to do? I spoke with Lily New Farmer. I reached out personally to Linda and I shared those concerns, and they were so welcoming of them that I said, I want to be a part of this solution. How can I encourage women who look like me to participate in such an amazing organization? And that's kind of where it's been for me thus far.
And that is awesome. You know, being a fellow CEO person, I'll just say women, it is always challenging to have someone to talk to about, you know, our style and our leadership and our being part of something big. And what's wonderful about CUWLA is the inclusiveness of it. And so with that being said, Linda, what are some of your experiences, or what have people really been talking about the excitement of being a part of CUWLA and just feeling comfortable where they are?
Right. No, thanks, Sheila, because, you know, oftentimes people kind of going, gosh, we're not really inclusive in that we don't allow men to join. So we like say on the DEI spectrum, we actually answer to the E, the equity, because one of the things that the conversations we have is like, how do women show up? Like, why women only? Right. And, you know, I was actually on a podcast last week with somebody that said, you know, regardless of the size of the organization, you might go into a room and how do you exert yourself and feel comfortable, or how are you approached? You know, everybody else gets the handshake, but when it comes to the woman in the room, she doesn't get the handshake. Right. So how is that changing? And how do we, you know, really to have that, like I said, like we've all said, Delana, Lynette, myself, that safe space to have those conversations, because, you know, the landscape is changing. And one day it would be amazing that DEI is like, it doesn't even need to be a conversation. It's the way we live. And then Delana shared how she, you know, approached us, and that demonstrates, you know, some of the traits that women have, to be able to be vulnerable and to know that they're going to be trusted. And we have that space. So when Delana reached out to us, we're like, you know, we want to lean into that. And how do we as an organization, we want to be there for women of all colors and all, LGBTQ, AACUC, NALCUP, anybody where they are. And I think I want Delana to really kind of talk about her experience at our conference this year, because she came up and said something to me, and I want her to share it because after she shared that concern. So Delana.
So the conference this year was amazing. And as CEOs and all of you know, for small credit unions, you kind of have to pick because you can't be out of the office, too often, too long. And so making the commitment to attend CUWLA, knowing that Barb Lohman was going to be there, who's just another seasoned leader within our industry. But one of the things that I walked away with, just the feeling of just sisterhood, was just in the room, and it just felt so good, and it was so needed, and everyone was able to just take the CEO hat off and just embrace the experience of learning and growing and reflecting. And so for me, there were several speakers. There was one that was shattering limitations, and as women, we often limit ourselves out of just fear. And so what I walked away with this conference was just courage and understanding how to encourage myself and understanding how to encourage others. So I definitely will participate in this annual conference, and I look forward to it, Linda. I can't thank you and Lynette and Lily, New Farmers, as much as I could there, but the intentional fostering of speakers that you created, even with Donna Dyer, of talking about just our energy, things that you just don't typically find in a conference where it's about self-love and self-help and mental kind of awareness. Bringing those things to a conference setting in a professional environment was spot on. And I look forward to continuing to grow through you all in your organization.
What I heard from you is passion, that you really want to contribute to what we're doing and to let people know. I was listening to Ms. Smith talking about she's always been in the C-suite. Not all of us have been in the C-suite. So my question to you is, being the only female sometimes at the boardroom with all men, do you think they understand your leadership style?
Do they understand it? I would say yes, to some degree. Then I would say, honestly, no. But you have to, when you are in a presence and you're the only female in the room, you have to do your due diligence. You have to, before you speak up, you need to know your subject matter. You have to come to the table. So if I can just say one thing, back in the day, there was no CUWLA. It was people like Sheila Montgomery that was my mentor and was somebody that I can call, or Renee Sattywhite. So this is a more formal program, and I will go ahead and piggyback and tell you, follow up with our coaching program if I can now, because it's a phenomenal program that we bring to CUWLA. It's very lonely at the top. We really get that. But before I go any further, I have to acknowledge CUNA and TrueStage for their contribution to this program, because if it were not for them, I don't think CUWLA would have this program that we have. So what we do, it consists of 12 cohorts and 12 coaches. So these coaches are coached. So back in the day, I was a coach, right? I was a coach 2 years ago. And the coaches were CEOs running credit unions. Now we have professional coaches that really know the subject matter, and they help each cohort through the program. We match each one up. We just don't say, okay, this one goes with that. We said, okay, this one needs financial training, so we're going to put them in the CFO level. So when people graduate from this program, and we call it the 4 E's, we collaborate with them by exploring what they want. We show empathy. We listen to their needs. We empower them to help them get better results, and then we engage their success through peer-to-peer support. And I tell you, one of the mentors from my program 2 years ago will call me, or I'll see her at a conference. And it's just like you meet a credit union professional for life, because it goes beyond the 12-week program.
Thank you. That is awesome. I like that 4 E's. I think that's very important. And it is definitely enlightening. I see with CUWLA is that it is an opportunity to not only meet dynamic women, but take the titles away and just really just be we always say B2B, where we're going to be P2P, person to person. And that's what really makes this organization what it is.
If I'd like to ask one more thing, Sheila.
Yes, ma'am.
And I have to give AACUC the credit, because I was the co-chair of the mentorship program at AACUC, and that set a foundation for me to then go work with CUWLA and bring some of a few of the best practices that I learned as a mentorship co-chair for several years with AACUC. Mentorship is so important at every level. It's at every level. We need to have mentorship.
Yeah. And I think that's a great segue, because it's a collaboration. It's a collaboration not only with AACUC, but with all of the power organizations in the credit union movement. We need to be at the table. Women need to be at the table. With that being said, Linda, CUWLA was founded, in my opinion, because there was such passion out there. There's so much work being done. What do you think some of the traits it takes for women to have to be a leader in the credit union profession?
I'm going to say compassion and resiliency. And when our members fill out their membership application, one of the things we ask them is like, what is your superpower? And I will say more often than not, resiliency is something that people list. And, to see that we have members that come from credit unions as small as $2 million up to $295 million in assets. And how do we make sure we can bridge the conversation between the two? And like I said, one of the common things is resiliency. It's just, how do you slough off, right? When you're going through some major poo-poo, and it could be, is it a board relationship? Is it something happening operationally? Is it HR? Where do you go? So again, I would say resiliency.
Oh, that is awesome. In the credit union world, you can expect the unexpected.
Yeah.
And Delaney, you have just graciously explained some of the wonderful reasons why you became part of CUWLA. But there's so many unexpected things. CUWLA was an unexpected thing, not knowing what you were going to get out of it, but coming away really excited about not only what you can get out of it, but also knowing that you are going to carry that torch on to someone else. How do you feel about being in a position of influence?
I think it's a blessing. I think it is an honor. I don't take it lightly. I try to receive as much information and learning that I can, so that I can help foster and create the safe space for others. And so I totally feel like, for me as a believer, that's where my first requirement is that I am tasked for a season such as this. And so with that belief, it just leads me and drives the passion for me to be my best self and to show up as my best authentic self, so that I can help and create others. Liz Ponder said it best at the Credit Union Leadership Conference, where Renee was the moderator for our panel. And she said to send the elevator down.
Yeah.
And so my goal is to do all that I can, so that I am responsibly sending the elevator down.
So I'd like to piggyback on that, and I'll share a story. I met Delana maybe less than 5 years ago, before she was a CEO, and she was at the league, and she sat in on the AACUC board strategic planning sessions. I instantly became her mentor because I told her, you will be a CEO. Guarantee you will be. You have the quality. So it's believing in yourself, but it's having others believe in you.
Yep.
That is so important in a mentor-mentee relationship. And look where Delana is now. And I'm so honored that she's now on the board. And I was on the nominating committee to make sure she got on. It's all good.
Thank you for that.
And Linda, I'd like for you to chime in on that. We talked a little bit about the mentorship. We've talked to about being inclusive. We've also talked to about just the excitement of being able to share ideas and to know that you are in a safe place. Tell me, as far as the CUWLA, what are the benefits? I know we've talked about a lot, but there's some other benefits that you might be able to share with us.
Yeah, I think, we talked about the coaching and the conference, and I think the benefits, one of the biggest things is ongoing. You've heard it numerous times, is that safe space. And to really, right now, I just came back from Filene's Big Bright Minds, where I met Sheila in person, which was nice.
For the first time.
And we actually have a cohort. We have 20 of our members that are part of a cohort, and Delana isn't part of that group, to really help Filene kind of do a study of what's happening to small credit unions. And because we're an organized group, they lean into us. And so we're able to do that with the support of corporate America and Visa. And to be able to go through some of those programs. And I think it's the benefit of having someone to reach out to anytime, all the time. So we have a member connection that we use that members are able to engage and share. And I think one of the benefits, like I said, that safe space, I want to share a story of when I was on another listserv and you could tell it was somebody from a small credit union asked a question of how do the boards wanting to approve all the salaries, and they're not seeing it like what they should get. And the response they got was, the board has one employee, it's you, and that's your responsibility. They shouldn't be telling you what to do. That's not what she was asking. She was asking for help. And when I see questions like that, so I don't like to respond, but I'll see the conversations, and someone will ask a question, and the responses always are, gosh, if it's something they need some empathy, I'm sorry you're going through that, or have you considered this, or this is how I've done it. It's never you should have, or why don't you? It's always welcoming. It's always taking and embracing somebody. And I think that you didn't really ask this question, but it kind of leads to the conversation about, women in leadership. It's like, how do they need to have their circle. I've heard it called a tribe, your personal board of directors, your posse, whatever that is, those people that you can lean to that are going to either check you, direct you, or support you. I mean, we all need that. I mean, I was just a coach for the one-to-one women mentorship, and to see young people coming up, where is that, like Lynette said, Delana, one day you're going to be CEO. And when I meet people, to see that the future of our credit union relies on us paying it forward and helping, like I said, I love that, like going down in the elevator, right? How do we all just work together?
That's awesome, because it really is about lifting each other up, supporting each other, making sure that that you're only a phone call away to avoiding a crisis. Women have a little more nurturing, and I'll be biased when I say this, men, so if you're on the call, please forgive me, but we have a little bit more nurturing spirit. And so we will take the time and listen. And I think that's important. And I say that because all of you have the characteristics, in my point of view, that you want to just be there. It's not about titles. It's not about being the only and best one. It's about just being there. And with that being said, Lynette, I know that you said you came up through the C-suites. Delaney, I didn't hear your stories. Did you come up through the C-suites as well? Or
I actually didn't. I probably served in every seat in my credit union. I started on the banking side as a teller and immediately went into operations and supervising. And I knew then that this was going to be my space in my career. But pretty much, and that's what I love about this opportunity for me in this season of my life, is that I can relate to every employee I have here on staff and then outside of my organization, because I've done that job. And the beauty and sometimes also the challenge of managing and serving at a small credit union is that you do have that skill set and that talent. You can go back and remember when, but it can be challenging and overwhelming at times, but it's also a blessing to be able to have that skill set that if you have to run a teller drawer, vacuum the office, whatever it is, you can get it done.
Okay, Linda, I'm going to let you vacuum a little bit. Tell us a little bit about your backstory.
I started out as a teller. I'm not gonna tell you what year because you'll be able to figure out my age, but that's I was barely out of high school and I started at credit union as a teller. And I think, you talk about women being nurturers. I think a lot of them grow up in the credit unions. And so Delanda says, like, I did everything in the credit union, so and then as you grow into the C-suite or as the CEO is to how do you let go, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it was in my blood. I grew up in the credit union and I'm still here.
Okay, well, I can share a secret.
Absolutely.
You all may not know about me. I started out in high school. I attended Roosevelt High School in DC Public School System, and they had a work-study program. So if you were in 12th grade and you had enough credits, you could work. So I did work at American Security and Trust, which is now Bank of America. And look, Renee didn't even know that. So he said she started out too. So, we might have all touched that thing. But when I graduated with a degree in finance, I just, went in a different direction.
Yeah. But, the important part is that, and for the audience too, I hope you're gathering this valuable information. It doesn't matter where you start.
Right.
It's how you progress and what do you give back. I think for me, I've been in the C-suite for a while, but I did start as a file clerk, so I was a little less than a teller. But all in all, and I ask myself, why am I in this credit union business? What is so different about a credit union and a bank? So I'd like to start with Linda, and then we'll ask each panelist to give a brief, just kind of synopsis, if you will. Why credit unions and not banks?
Because we'll do what others won't do. Exactly. We'll help people that other people won't help. And it's like, members aren't just a number, they have a story. Everybody has a story, and how can we lean in and help them? That's why it's like, yeah.
So I can tell you one thing, and one word of advice, whatever position you are in your credit union, I feel that employees need to be respected and heard. And if they are respected and heard, they will take care of your members. A prime example I can share with you very briefly is when we had COVID shut down. And of course, I was a CEO at True Energy Federal Credit Union. And they're like, no, my God, Lynette, you stay at home. So I was sitting there, managing, having meetings, really listening to some heartfelt stories during COVID. But another thing I did is I helped my members. I connected with SBA. I got the PPP loan going. We issued over $4 million in PPP loans that I helped to do. Those are things that as CEOs, you have to do when the time occurs. But your employees, if you don't take care of them, the success will not be there, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. I thank you for that. I think that's something that we all have to remember as we're climbing the ladder or get to at the top of the ladder, that the members, not only do the members, but also your staff, which are members as well, are very, very important. Delaney, would you like to chime in?
Yeah, I'll chime in. And I respect the work that the banking world provides. I respect the business model that they have. I think they serve a purpose. For me, I just recall in one of my roles at the bank, I was what was called a new build lead. And so any new branches that we opened, we would have all community partners there, cut the ribbon, all community events would drive. And then as soon as the doors opened, that community commitment and engagement was no longer there. And I kept thinking, well, why? You know, they're the reason that we're here. Why did we not budget to do even more things with the community? And that's just not their business model. And so for me, I had to make a decision and find my place, and figure out, you know, how could I do this work that I love, but do it from a place where my heart feels fulfilled. And so the credit union space created that for me. It was already, you know, there. I just had to go out and find it. And so for me, the credit union mantra of people helping people is still so valid and relative. It literally could be every credit union's own vision and mission and statement and all of that. Because at the end of the day, it's really about people helping people, and not just the people externally. It is also our people within our four walls. And so that for me is the difference that I find in banks versus the credit unions. That it is still our creed, it is still our heart desire to serve.
Right.
I am just really excited about those answers. I think sometimes we get caught up in just doing the day-to-day work. We don't recognize how valuable the things that we do to help our community. And when I say community, that means inside and outside. That being, and even with CUWLA, I think that's a community. And you're helping your members, you're helping your members to be better at their craft. And Linda, you as a co-founder, as well as Ms. Smith, both of you probably more than likely felt that as you were having these discussions prior to starting CUWLA. What was it? What was that spark that said, we're going to do it?
Oh my gosh. It's like, you know, like I said, 13 of us total met in Dallas, Fort Worth in 2019 and sat around the room and, like I said, had hard conversations about, you know, what does this look like? Is there a need? Who are we helping? It's, I mean, you know, it's like, why? You know, why do you do what you do? And, you know, at one point the conversation was, should it be co-ed? And I remember sitting there kind of going, and just, you have to kind of like visualize, what if so-and-so was in the room? The conversation would have been different. In that first meeting, somebody actually had to check somebody else, and nobody was like I use the phrase butthurt. It's like there was none of that. It's like to really be with the 13 of us, we didn't all know each other, to have that conversation and just like rip it away right away, to kind of be vulnerable with each other and to not agree and to really have some hard conversations. It was a need. And it was Lily Newfarmer, who's our chair. It was her brainchild. She reached in and she talked to Gary Singleton from CUNY Mutual at the time. And they just started kind of like, how do we find some people, some thought leaders to come together to have this conversation? Is there a need? And one of the things that was very intentional, and we are very intentional now as we have to start filling some empty board seats, is we wanted geographic representation. We also wanted different sizes of credit unions to be represented. So that was very important. And how do we make those changes going forward? And one of the other things, the 300, some people say, why 300 million? Why not 500 million? Why not 250 million? And we really really pressed on that. And as they said earlier, you know, we have people that are from credit unions that are like 2 million, and they need to be able to kind of ask that question that they might otherwise not want to ask, depending on the circle. And I am so thrilled and to have the opportunity to be the first executive director. I won't be the last, because at some point I will actually retire. Because one of the things when I was growing up, and I think you kind of said something earlier, Sheila, that led to this, I always wanted to be a teacher. And, you know, in my credit union career, I always felt that I had the opportunity to teach, because you're helping members and people that need help. And now to be able to have the opportunity to see the differences of our members. I'll say oftentimes we have some heavy hitters that are members of our credit union. You know, 3 of them have been inducted to the America's Credit Union Museum. You know, 3 of them and a 4th one coming up have gotten like her Wegner Awards. So it's like, we need to remember there are women out there that are having issues on what's the ROI in a marketing program. And to lean to this group to kind of go, you know, I don't want to be judged. You're not being judged. We're here to help you.
Yes. So. And I think that's so important. And I would imagine, Lynette, that at some point in time, you've seen some CEOs or of smaller credit just shed a tear because they're so, first of all, overwhelmed about the responsibility, but also knowing that they have someone to talk to. Can you share just a brief story?
Someone to talk to, the list is too long. But I tell you, I help anyone and everyone. I'm a finance person. So the thing that really concerned me is when I came into the industry in 1989, that was years before I was at a bank, right? There were over 12,000 credit unions. Look where we are today. Less than 5,000.
Yeah.
Okay, we're serving 138 million members. I want to see us around in 100 years from now. And so when you look at the statistics of, I think the last statistics, and correct me if I'm wrong, over 50% of the credit unions are being run by women.
That is correct.
And so if that's the case, then we need to make sure those women that are running credit unions, particularly under 300 million, have the tools and resources. I tell you, my email's blowing up every day on Basecamp because we're asking all kind of questions and giving advice and putting out policies. I mean, I just get, wow. You know, it's just a lot of information that you would think people would know. And if CEOs or future CEOs aren't out networking and belonging to organizations, you have to get involved. You have to be involved. And I've been involved with AECUC for close to 20 years. And I think Renee calls me a legacy member. I don't know if it's quite 20, but being involved, I have learned so much going to the AECUC conference, going to the CUWLA conferences. It's just packed with so much information that it's worth taking. And some of our things are online now. Yeah. The commitment to change is online. The meet and greet is online. You don't have to leave your credit union if you can't afford it. You can just get involved. Please, I urge everyone, regardless of your stature, regardless of your level at your organization, get involved because there's other people that are watching you. And if they see, if you belong to, let's say AECUC, and there's a president there and he's looking for someone, well, if they see that you're on the mentorship committee, they may look at you differently and say, hey, I might think about hiring this person. A lot of opportunity.
You're absolutely right. And you hit it on the head when it comes to networking. Someone always told me it's not who you know, it's who knows you.
That's right.
And that's so important as female leaders, because we tend to just do the work and not brag about it. And we do the work and not really let everybody know what we've done. If we had one weakness, I would say that is our Achilles heel, that we just don't let people know how hard we're working and what we've done for the communities, for our employees. And you, all of you ladies have just been tremendous. You've done, as they say in the old days, you put a stake in the ground and say, we're not leaving. I'd like to just have y'all wrap it up because we want to leave some time for questions. We want to leave some time for even statements. And all those who are listening, it is about you. This panel basically have given you an insight of not only something that you could be a part of, but how you too can get other women involved and get other women ready to be who they are. Sometimes we just kind of not be that person that we want to be because we figure it's not our place. So ladies, I want to just leave you with opportunity to say some lasting remarks. I'd like to open up the chat, or y'all, SB, you can help me when it comes to deciding how we want people to get involved. But ladies, I'd like for you to just leave with some closing remarks.
Yeah, so I want to, because I don't think I said this earlier, like how our membership dues structures are made. So we have actually, we're very conscientious of smaller credit union budgets and like, do I belong or not belong? So our membership is tiered that credit union CEOs under 50 million in assets, the annual dues is 195. And for female CEOs over 350 million up to 300 is 295, and that's on your anniversary. It's not January, so there's no prorating needed. As well as our conferences, to have an affordable place. We want them to be able to come and, as Delana said, not take a lot of time away. So we tier that too, 295 and 395. And we don't talk about Cecil or things like that. We talk about all the things that Delana said. That is pretty much the conference. So we just look forward to having some of you as members, and CUWLA.com is our website. And just really to have the opportunity, as all of these affinity groups collaborate, to have the opportunity and to be here for the future of credit unions, which are primarily run by, they're smaller.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Ms. Delaney, would you like to add to that?
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all for allowing me to even be on this panel with such amazing women leaders. I'm grateful. I just want to leave with, sometimes you also have to consider investing in yourself. And so if your credit union cannot afford to do, to sign you up for an organization, to give you the opportunity, you've got to find the opportunity. There's lots of organizations, there's leagues, there's AACUC, there's plenty of places who offer scholarships. And so you've got to do your homework, you've got to do your research. And I would even encourage you that if that fails for you, I would call the organization that you want to join, figure out how you can volunteer, see if they would help you work out a payment plan, layaway, whatever it is, because you first need to be serious about investing in yourself so that others will be willing to invest in you. So I encourage also the organizations that I feel like support the work that we do. I also believe in advisors, I believe in coaches, I believe in sponsors. So find all of those people. You've got to find your people to ensure that you're getting what you need. You cannot lead if your cup is empty. You are going to need someone to fill your cup so that you can be your best self. And if that person is not found, find it in you first, and then I can guarantee you'll find it somewhere else.
Oh, such wisdom. Miss Lynette?
And as we close out the 2024, if you want to look at something that's very daunting, go to NCUA's website and look at how many mergers there are.
Yeah.
It's scary. So my 2024 New Year's resolution for all on the line is to find your coach, find your mentor in January, and identify that person. Let them know that you would like to be mentored. And if there's a larger credit union and they work, see if there are scholarship opportunities, because what makes us different from banks and credit unions is we are all about credit unions helping credit unions. So I challenge each and every one of you to be the best you can be. Do your due diligence, and if you're in the room with the CEO, because they're listening to what you have to say. Absolutely. Don't be afraid to speak up to them and give them, oh, well, that was something. Go out to NCUA's call report. See how your credit union is doing that you're working. Know where you're working. So New Year's resolution, find that coach, find that mentor. They're in your backyard. I promise you they are. I would not be as successful as I am in my 30-some-odd years if I had not done that exact thing from the ground up, because I know I don't know everything, and it's lonely at the top.
Absolutely. We have a few questions I'd like to share with you all. I know time is winding down. But one is, and Delaney, I'll have you answer this question. What are the unique challenges women CEOs at $300 million in assets, what are the challenges that you face?
So I'll answer that. I'm not there yet, but I love that you just spoke that into existence, though. I will receive that. I will receive it. I think that we all, though, from what I've gathered, we face so many similar challenges. Obviously, liquidity is a thing. It's a real thing. There's cybersecurity challenges. There's even, pouring into the people who serve your members. And so making sure that you have succession planning and career development for retention and for growth and opportunity. And so the talent pool, right, looks a little bit different now. They're more demanding of what they have required in the past. So I think we all share some of the same challenges. I'll take this second, though, to circle back around to what Linda said and what Lynette mentioned in terms of just our pool of information.
Mm-hmm.
Joining CUWLA for me as a new CEO is probably one of the best. I won't say it's the only best because AACUC, it just has my whole heart in some areas. But in terms of resources for a new CEO of a small credit union, I can literally go into Basecamp and in the search engine tool, ask for a policy, request what, this has been done. And even in areas where I don't speak from a place of strength, I can be vulnerable and say, you know what, this showed up and I have no idea where to even start. That conversation, those resources are generally already there. So even if you just join for that low fee and just want a place of solid resources, they're not afraid to share. All of the CEOs that are engaged and participate, they share policies, they share best practices. And I'm talking about physical documents. I just finished my succession plan because of a CEO succession plan that CEO paid to have an attorney review it, and she shared it with us for free. So it applied to my credit union. I was able to utilize it, but the resources in that Basecamp system that all of the credit union CEOs are contributing to is priceless. That alone was worth my membership fee.
Oh, wow, that is awesome. One real quick question. Again, we're running a little out of time, and as Ms. Renee said it, White states, we start on time and we end on time. But this is a good question too. People say that women cannot get along. Do y'all have any response to that? And I'll start with Lynette.
I would say that is not true. I don't see that. I see more backbiting done by the men in the industry, particularly the larger credit unions. I'm just saying, but I don't see that. And I guess because I belong to ACUC for 2 decades, I really don't experience that because I think we all want the best for the industry, and I honestly feel that way. So it's my 2 cents.
No, and I appreciate that. Sometimes we have to be the ones to dispel myths.
Exactly.
And if we don't put that out there, that's why I said, at first I wasn't going to ask, but I think that's something that we've got to make sure people know that is not what we do, especially in these leadership roles. We are very collaborative. We're very supportive, and certainly we have compassion. And so thank you for answering it that way, because that's what they needed to hear. That's what everyone needs to hear about women. We are powerful, but yet we also take care of each other. There's one other question that Linda, you can help us with. It says, what keep you up at night when it comes to credit unions?
What keeps me up at night that comes to credit unions? Well, since I'm not really in a credit anymore, that don't keep me up. No. What keeps me up now? So now here, I will tell you, for me now, I tell people when they ask me this, it's like my true north and my role is the members. So it's kind of like it may keep me up at night. Is like, did I communicate that to our members? Does somebody need something? To really know that and to really empathy has been exuding for me in that as I see our members through different challenges and how can I help them?
Yes.
Because I do know a lot of what's going on with some of our members, and it's like, can I connect another member to help that person and to rally around and support them. We were talking earlier about the sad what's going on with the cybersecurity with the ransomware right now, and how one member is helping another member credit union because they may be having like a run on money. So just be there and just so that doesn't keep me, well, I guess that does keep me up at night.
It does. It keeps all of us up at night. That's one
How do
thing
we
about
help each other?
yes, yes, yes. We are really on the ground. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that is why we feel the way we do, and we do the things that we do. I don't know if we talked about, are there scholarships to be part of the conference?
There are, and I saw Zach post that question about how could like other leagues and large credit unions and whatnot support and our male allies. Male allies really to support and understand why CUWLA exists is huge. And we haven't had a lot of criticism. In the beginning, we did, questioning as to why it was women, but to have that support. As far as scholarships, something that we're looking at doing this year is having kind of a matchup program to go to our sponsors or some large credit unions. People ask because they want to help, how they can help do grants for member credit unions to come to the conference. So that's something we're working on to make it super easy for them to be able to get there. The conference is very affordable, but to get a sponsorship, and I think the sponsorship, I've already touched that with some of our sponsors, like, would you want to be in the pool? So that is there. And as Delana said, if anybody has a problem when they fill out their membership applications, one of the question is do you need assistance or is somebody supporting you? Because we do have people that volunteer to support other members or sponsor them. And so if they just let us know, that's because we don't want that to be a barrier to entry.
Yeah, I think what's important to know is make the call, make the connection.
Yeah.
Because, I love talking to people. That's my biggest, how do I want to say, that's my joy. Emails is not. So just pick up the phone, call, because you never know who knows who. And then you get the answer that you need. It may not be that answer you get from that one person, but you'll eventually get that answer. I'll end with this, and I'd like for Ms. Renee Satterwhite to kind of say a few words. Someone wrote from the chat, said, women are assertive and we get it done. I don't have to say anymore. This is one of those drop the mic things. So thank you, panelists, for doing a phenomenal job. I think for the participants, they felt like I felt, invigorated, belonging, and really feel like I have somewhere and someone to talk to at all times. At this time, Ms. Renee Satterwhite, if you'd like to just greet us and say hello to us, and then we'll end with Ms. Espy kind of giving you what's happening at AACEC as we move forward.
Thank you, Sheila Montgomery. Hopefully you were too busy to look in the chat, but I have given you praise after praise after praise because I have told everybody the truth, and that truth is I couldn't do the job of president and CEO if I had not been by your side for over 10 years, where you took me everywhere, allowed me to do every job I needed to do. I was the PR person, I was the business development person, I was the marketing person. She never let me on the teller line. She never let me with the GLs. But if it had something to do with words or the people, she allowed me to do all of that. I wanted SB to send Sheila this question to Linda about how this call came about. Linda, would you explain that for just a second, and then I'll take it back over.
Yeah, it's been a long time. It's like, because I run into Renee here and there, and it's to challenge us, like, to have this conversation. And then Renee and I were on a panel together at the Louisiana Credit Union League, and then it was like, we got to get this done. That woman's busier than, but you all know that. So finally, Renee said, let's get it done. And then Grace just said, we're going to do a CTC session on it. And here we are. So I'm very grateful that we've got this done finally. We have a lot of crossover, and it's all encompassing. So thank you so much.
So thank you for that, Linda. So what the reason why I wanted her to answer that question is because it's all about collaboration. Again, women can get along. I happen to be in Southern California right now at the leagues finishing up their conference, and Gary Singleton, I was with him last night. I saw Maria Martinez yesterday. So people who were very instrumental in helping your organization get started, and certainly strong supporters of AACC as well. And so what is wonderful and great about this opportunity, I do believe that AACC is doing a little something for your members. And I'm going to throw it to Danya, who will then throw it to Espy. Danya, if you'll share what we want to do for the members of this organization, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ms. Renee, and thank you, panelists, for such a delightful conversation. It really warmed my heart to hear how aligned AACUC and CUWLA are in terms of inclusivity, mentorship, compassion, resiliency, and a safe place for critical conversations. And so because of that alignment, our fearless CEO, Ms. Renee Sidey-White, as well as a mentor to many, she's offered a special promotion for your CUWLA members. So any of the CUWLA members that are listening today or beyond, know that you have a 50% off of your individual CEO AACUC membership. If you apply before the end of the year, we have a promo code, so I will put this in the chat. Just use the promo code CUWLA 2023. And if you're listening and you, again, are a CUWLA member, please take this opportunity to join AACUC. If you're not an AACUC member and may not qualify to be a part of the CUWLA organization, why not join AACUC as well? This is a great time to be a part of both of our communities in the spirit of inclusivity. So there you go. Back to you, Mr. Nay.
Thank you, Danya. And we're excited to do that. I think collaboration is key. And one of the things I learned from Sheila, I came from a bank, so I thought that people were stealing my stuff. She goes, we don't steal in Credit Union, we collaborate. We collaborate. So on that note, I say a great, wonderful call. I can't wait to see how many hits we get from people watching this over and over again for all the great information that you ladies shared. Sheila, thank you so much for being a phenomenal moderator. And Espy, with that, because we start on time and end on time, I'm throwing it back to you.